Okay, good morning. So today we're looking at probably this is the second video of the paper 1, November 2018 of the St. Susie papers. The second or the first, second or the third video? Second, okay. So at this point we got up until question 2.2. Okay, so we're still far from finishing. I don't even think we'll finish this video today, this paper today. But let's see how far we get, okay? We're not going to start, we're never going to finish, okay? So in the sketch below, the angle ABCD, where AB is equal to 10, AC is equal to 6x plus 8, AD is 6x, BC is 2 minus y. Solve for x and y simultaneously. Okay? Okay, so they didn't say what the reason. Okay, so if I use any geometry rules, I don't need to give a reason. Okay? But I'm going to write the reason down anyway. So if you watch it later, you will understand why. Okay? So, looking at this here, we need to set up two equations. Why two equations? Because there's two unknowns. Can you see that, people? So, firstly, we can say that 6x is equal to 2 minus y. Why is 6x equal to 2 minus y? Who can tell me? Opposite sides of a rectangle is equal. Not so. As I said, this was needed. Opposite sides. Opposite sides of a rectangle. Oh, yeah. Can't be seen. Okay. So this is equation. So I'm going to make y the subject of your formula. So y is equal to 2 minus 6x. And list that as equation 1. So of course now we need to set up another equation. Not so? So I can go with the fact that ABC, with that being 90, so I can apply Pythagoras. Not so? Why? Because the angle B is 90 degrees. But if you look at this triangle here, what do you notice? There's only x's in triangle ADC. If I put this to be 10 there as well. Can you see that? So I can apply Pythagoras. Okay? So let's check if that's going to work. So I'm working in triangle. Let's just change the color. It's in triangle. Check that you can see everything. In triangle ADC. What can we say? We'll start by saying that DC is 10. Do I need a reason here? No. But I'm going to write it down anyway. Opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. Not so. So according to, you see as already D given 90 here. So if I had worked in this triangle, I had to first say angle B is 90. Why? Because that's not on the diagram. And why would B be 90 degrees? What's the reason there? Vertex angle is of a rectangle is perpendicular, okay, for 90 degrees. So we're going to say that 8 plus 6x all squared equals 10 squared plus 6x all squared. Reason? Pythagoras with angle D equals 90. Do we need this here? No. We don't need that. Okay, I'm just writing it down. I'm writing it down so if the day comes and I ask you what reason, you know what to write. Okay? So it's just a matter of solving for x here. 8 squared is 64 plus that times 2. 8 times 6 is 48 times 2 is 96. Is that correct? Plus 6x all squared is 36x squared equals 100 plus 36x all squared. So what's going to happen now? Quadratic equation, solve for x. But we know that 36x on either side will cancel Okay, so it becomes a linear equation now. So 96 is equal to 100 minus 64. What's 100 minus 64? 36. 96 divided by 36? A third. 3 over? 3 over 8. Okay, I was wrong. As usual. No? Okay, so what do we do now? So we don't actually go full on simultaneous equations. Not so. Because if I knew this straight away, then I wouldn't have gone equation 1 equation 2. I would have started with this triangle first, got an x out, then I could have just equated that with a value of x. But no problem. No problem, we can just carry on with that. This will now substitute into equation 1. So therefore y is now equal to 2 minus 6 into 3 over 8. Which is what? Negative. Yep, negative 1 over 4. Okay, any confusion? Yes, what's your question?
So in the question it's simultaneously, right? So would you not get that down because you're giving me simultaneous equations? Because I was wondering that when I was doing it.
You're wondering whether simultaneous equations fit in. Because the sum can be calculated without simultaneous equation, your mark should be given there. Otherwise, you're going to go set up a simultaneous equation here. It's going to be a fairly big sum. So I think it's a bit unfair to expect you to do simultaneous equations. Okay. Probably when I drew up the paper, did I draw this paper? Yeah. When I drew this paper up, I was expecting you to rather go that over the other way. But remember in mathematics, the maths people is most lazy people, not so. You want to always find the quickest way of doing things. Not so? Am I right or wrong? Right, yes. So that is a better way, it's a quicker way. Okay? So it's easy then unnecessary for me to expect you to go with simultaneous equations. Okay? But good thinking in that direction. Right, question 3.1. You can buy a DVD player for $999. This is a couple of years ago. No? The hire purchase contract requires a deposit of $199 and 24 monthly payments of $52.50. Determine the total interest paid. So to work out the total amount paid, total is going to be the deposit plus your total monthly installment amount. So your deposit is 199 Rand plus 52 Rand 50 multiplied by 24, which gives us 199 Rand plus 52 Rand 50 times 24 Rand for 24 months. Gives us a total, this person pays about 140 for 1,459 Rand. But the question was for the interest. How do you calculate the interest? It's going to be the total paid minus your cash price. So it's going to be 1,459 Rand minus 999 Rand. It's going to give us 460 Rand. Okay. Any confusion here? No? Next. Caesar invested a certain amount of money when he was 18. The amount earned 8.25% per annum. Simple interest. So if it says simple interest formula. A is equal to P into 1 plus I times E. What is the amount you originally invested? So in other words, we're calculating P, the P value, the principal. So it's going to be at 28. So how many years later is that? 10 years. Okay? So you had 11,250. So that's the A value. It's 11,250 equals P into 1 plus I. What's your I value? 0.0825 times 10. So what I do is I divide both sides by 1 plus 0.0825 times 10. 1 plus 0.0825 So that cancels. So P works out to be? Sorry? Sorry?
6,164.
6,164
And 38 cents.
and 38 cents. You all agree with that? Okay. The next question. Equation 3.3. In 1984, you guys weren't born yet, a standard 8 textbook. You guys know what standard 8 is? What? Grade 10. Okay. A standard 8 textbook cost 13 Rand 40 cents. In 2018, a new grade 10, same grade, no? Textbook cost 256 Rand 99 cents. Determine the average rate of inflation correct to 3 significant figures. What does 3 significant figures mean? Sorry? 3 decimal places. Not so? Is it? No. If you got the number 5, 6, 7, 8, if we ask you to write that to 3 significant figures, this would be 5, 6, 8. Oh. Yeah. If you say 2 significant figures, then what would the number then be? 5, 7, double. There's 2 significant figures. 1 significant figure must be 6. That's what I understand by significant figures. Okay. So 3 significant figures is 3 values, in other words. Okay. Or 3 digits basically. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you can bring it back. Okay. So how many years? So firstly, for inflation, which formula do I use? Compound. A is equal to P into 1 plus I, the exponent n. So what's your A value? What you ended off with? Determine the average rate of inflation. So it's I we're calculating. So it's 256,999 equals 13 Rand and 40 cents into 1 plus I, is what you're calculating, with the exponent 34. So what do I do first? Divided by 13,40. Then what? So it will be 256,99 over 13,40 equals 1 plus I to the exponent 34. Now what do we do? The 34th root, both sides. But normally if you go with any even root, we go plus minus. Okay, but not in this case. Okay, because your interest is going to be positive growth. Okay? So of course that cancels. And then what do I do? Minus 1. We take a 1 over. So your I is going to be the 34th root of. You could have punched it in the calculator earlier on if you wanted and have worked with decimal. No problem with that. Once I got this answer, what do? Multiply it by 100. So just put that in the calculator. It's the 34th root of 256.99 over 13.4 minus 1. As you see, we times it by 100. So 3 significant figures will be what? 0, 0, 8. Times by 100 is 9, did I say 0? Sorry, 9,08%. Is 1, 2, 3. 3 significant figures. Okay. Next, we are told that Kim deposits 60,500 Rand in an account, and 5.5 years later she deposits a further 3,500 into the same account. So it's a timeline question. The time, the line. T0, she deposits 16,500. Plus, we indicate a deposit, we indicate with a plus. A withdrawal, we indicate with a minus. 5.5 years later, so T5.5. So you deposit a further 3,500, so it's plus 3,500 into the same account. The compound rate of interest, so we are now going to use a compound formula. That is compounded annually for the first 3 years. Okay, let's move this over. First 3 years. The interest rate for the first 3 years was 9% per annum. Compounded annually. And then it increases to 11% per annum for the rest of the time period. Okay, you don't have to put 1 over 1 there. Next year we'll talk about compounded daily, monthly, and so on. Okay. How much money will she have in the account at the end of 8 years? So the time period is for 8 years. Now we can do many ways. We can break this up. We can take 60,500 to that point, and then we change the interest here, and we take it to that point, work that value out, and then take it to the add 3,500, and then take it to the end. That is one way of doing it. Okay. Otherwise, is that build-on method where we take 16,500 till here, then we change the interest rate, then we add this amount to it, and then we take it to the end. That is also fine. Okay? Any method you decide to do and it works for you, you adopt it, you stick to it. Okay? But I'm going to do it a different way now. So 8 total is equal to, what I do is I consider that 16,500 rand to the end. So I take that 16,500 rand, and you can only take it, you'll take it only where the interest rate changes. So what happens is you're going to be 16,500 till the interest rate changes here, not so? And then to the end. So just for that calculation, it will be as follows. 16,500 into 1 plus, what's the interest rate? 0,09 to the exponent 3. That is the amount lying at this point here, not so? Then what? Then you must draw another interest. This is your P value now, not so? So you're going to draw another interest, you're going to draw an interest for another 5 years. So it's 1 plus 0,11 to the exponent 5. So I've considered that 16,500 for the entire time period. Okay. Then what happened? You take this 3,500 rand from there. You just take that to the end as well. Okay. In other words, is it plus or minus? I'm adding what? 3,500 into 1 plus, what's your interest? 0,11 to the exponent. So how many years is it from 5.5 to 8? 2.5 years. I can write it as 2.5, 5 with 2, 2.5, no problem. So this here will now give us 8 total to be, what was that on value? The 16,500. 16,500 into 1 plus 0,09 to the exponent, not 2 but 3, times 1 plus 0,01, 0,11 to the exponent 5 plus 3,500 into 1 plus 0,11 to the exponent 2.5. Or if you want to write it with a mixed fraction, you first press shift, that fraction button. Okay? Don't press the fraction button and then put the cursor in front. It's not the same. Just put it in mixed fraction, by pressing shift and the fraction button. 2.5. That gives us 40,549. 40,549,63. Right. Any confusion? Any issues, people? Are you even busy with the maths book? Now why you have 2 maths books like that? Oh, you're checking if she did her work. Nice, I like it. I like it a lot. Yes?
What are 5 marks?
5 marks. Okay, definitely 1 mark here. Right? If you're going to do this method, okay, I will give you 2 marks for setting up that properly, and then 2 marks for setting that up properly. 5 marks. Okay? So here you have to note that thing. Okay? Anything else? No? Let's look at question 4. In question 4, we asked to write down the general term of each of the following sequence listed below. So how do I move from one term to the next term? I added 0.7. 0.7. So if I add 0.7, it's arithmetic. Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1d. Your a value is 0.7 plus n minus 1 times 0.7. We'll multiply this out, I get 0.7 plus 0.7 n minus 0.7. That cancels, so 0.7. But some of you are going to say, but it was fairly simple enough to write 0.7 times n. Okay? Because in grade 8 and 9, when we did the number pattern, we always said it's going to be whatever we're adding all the time times n, and then we check what the difference is. Not so. It's either we're adding a number or subtracting a number. In this case, we were doing neither. So it would have just been 0.7 n. So there's no problem. You would have also gotten 4 marks there for that. People looking at this, what do you notice here? There's 2, 4, 8. Otherwise, the numerator is staying 5. But the denominator is variating. The denominator is changing. So if I had the pattern 2, 4, 8, 16, this pattern would be a multiplying by 2 all the time. Not, yeah, so it's geometric. So this is going to be 2 to the exponent n. Not so. But this is in the denominator. So it will be, that would be a general term. 5 over 2 to the exponent n. Okay? Any problems here? No? Yes?
Is there a way to calculate this equation?
Yeah. Since this is geometric, what you could have done was you could have said Tn is equal to a or n minus 1. This is for geometric pattern. So this would be Tn is equal to a. What's your a value? 2. What's my r value? How do I move from one to the next? I'm multiplying by 2 all the time. So r is also 2, n minus 1. So you could have written it like this, or you could have said Tn is equal to 5 over 2 to the n minus 1 times 2. Okay, but 2 times, nobody write the coefficient first. So it's 2 times 2 to the n minus 1. But how is that the same as this? Because when we're multiplying and bases are the same, we add the exponents. So it's 1 plus n minus 1, which is that thing. You guys understand? Okay. Next. The drawing below shows the total height of each stack of chairs. What is the height of stack 5? So stack 1 comes in at 68. Stack 2 is 77. Stack 3 is 86. So how do I move from one to the next? I'm adding 9. 9. If I add 9, I'm going to get 95. Add 9, I'm going to get 104. So therefore, term 5 is 104 centimeters. You will okay with that? Let's look at the next one. If h is the height, of the stack of chairs and c is the number of chairs in the stack, I write down a formula. If I write this in general terms, that will be Tn is equal to 9n plus or minus something. Why 9n? Because I'm adding 9. It would have to be minus 9, I would have put minus 9n. So if n is 1, what's 1 times 9? But I must end off with 68. So what must I add to 9 to get 68? 50? 59. I must add 59. Not so. That's a general term of this pattern. Now if you didn't know that, no problem. You follow Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1d. Your a value is 68 plus n minus 1 times your 9 is 68 plus 9n minus 9, which is 9n plus 59. Same thing. Okay? Either way you decide is fine. But the question didn't say your general term in that form. We are given the height equals the number of the term number is now given denoted by C. Your T and your general term is denoted by H. So H is equal to 9C plus 59. Does it make sense? Yeah? The next one, next question. We are told that what's the greatest number of chairs which could be slid through a doorway 199 centimeters high? The stack may not be tilted. So that means to say the stack is taken straight up through the doorway. They want to know how many chairs, or what is the maximum number of chairs in that stack that will fit straight through the doorway. So in other words, Tn, or your height, has to be less than 199. So since the original general term was in centimeters, this has to be also in centimeters, which is the case already. So your height is what? 9c. Has to be less than 199. So we take it over, it becomes 199 minus 59, gives us 9 is going to be 140. Check if that's correct. Divided by 9. So your C value has to be less than. Sorry? 15,5. So how many chairs do we need to fit through the door? What's the maximum number? 15. Even if this was 15,9, you still need how many chairs will be the maximum number? 15 still. Can you see that, people? Why? Because at 16 it's going to be over. It's going to be taller than the doorway. Okay? So therefore, the number of chairs is equal to 15, or 15 chairs will fit through. Does it make sense, people? Right, let's go to the next question. Take any two numbers such as 42 and reverse it, you get 24. Find the difference between these two numbers. It's 42 minus 24 is 18. Repeat this process with two other two-digit numbers. Give me a two-digit number. Sorry? 19 and 91. So it's going to be 91 minus 19, which is 72. Take another set of numbers. 84 minus 48, which is 36. What do you notice? Multiples of 9. Prove that you have noticed is true for all two-digit numbers. Now you can't use 10 two-digit numbers and show it's always there. It doesn't work. What we need to do is we need to choose variables. Okay? Where's your maths book? Oh, wait, you're sitting so. You're just watching. Sorry? Oh, you're listening. Nice. Glad you listening. So, if we let the two numbers, let the two numbers be you all agree that's a two-digit number. Whatever x is, so x is 1, so it's going to be 1, and y is 2, it's going to be 2. Not so? You all agree with that? Just look at 19, if x is 1, y is Sorry? Okay, you don't know where this is coming from. It's fine. If you look at 19, 19 can be broken up into 10 plus 9. 91 can be broken up into 90 plus 1. I think you did this in grade 3 or something. Not so? You think the teacher did that for nothing? No, you must decompose and decomposition and break down and expansion and it was all for a reason. Okay. But now, give me a chance. Yeah. But if you now take this, that is 1 times 10. This is 9 times 10. This is 8 times 10. This is 4 times 10. So what do you see? This is variating, that is changing. The tens are staying the same, otherwise that is units there. That's also variating. So this is a representation of a 2-digit number. What was a 3-digit number? It would have been 100Z. You understand? So that's how it goes. So if I repeat this, if I swap this around, what do you notice you're going to get? You're going to get the units number became the 10 number, and the tens number becomes the units number. Not so. So if I do that in terms of the variables, what would it be? 10y is plus x. But what did we need to do? We needed to subtract it. Not so? So if I subtract this, that's what I'm going to get. You all agree with that? You all agree with that? It's wrong. What is wrong with it? There must be a bracket, yes. Why must there be a bracket? More than one term following a negative sign. You guys are sleeping. You think of the weekend. Now what? We add like terms. 9x minus 9y. I say, hang on. You take 9 as a common factor. So what can we say? Since 9 is a factor of the expression, therefore, the solution will always be a number divisible by 9. Okay. Any questions? No? Alright. Question 5. Graphs. Yeah, how much time do we have left? 1 minute. Okay, so you can do one sum. Okay, so the sketch below is the graph of f of x equal to negative x squared plus 25x and g of x equal to mx plus c. Write down the coordinates of E. So what is E? E is your turning point. Also your y-intercept. How do you calculate y-intercept? X equal to 0. Not so. But from f of x, as you can see, that point is on f of x. The constant will be your y-intercept. So here E is simply 0 and People enjoy the weekend. I've given you paper 2 already to complete, not so? Okay, so I'm not going to give you more work. Use this time to prepare for your upcoming exam. People enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend. Good morning, class.